Welcome to the Sportscast. This is October 21st, 2024. If you haven't yet, please subscribe on all our channels, YouTube, Twitch, and X, and Apple Podcast. You can also listen to us on your smart speaker. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you could please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. We're also on online digital radio. And you can also visit our website, thesportscast.net. Also on X, you can follow us there at the Sportscast One or on Instagram, the Sportscast One. Week 7, more injuries, more questions being answered in Pittsburgh, and a serious thing going on with Cleveland. Both baseball and football not doing well, but maybe things can turn around. And join us all the way from Northeast Ohio, Mr. and Madden. Welcome back to the Sportscast.
Yeah, good to be here. I thought I was going to be late today. I just got out of therapy session from a rough Cleveland sports weekend between my Guardians. They made it close, but just a couple bad mistakes and just couldn't overcome that. And had the next day had to watch my Browns go down again with the injury to DeShaun. Sad to see that happen. But hopefully he's okay. But I think everyone knew that it was time to move on. I guess this is just what's going to happen, and we'll see what goes on from here.
Yes, which is quite interesting. He is has he been officially uh diagnosed with Achilles injury?
Yeah, definitely Achilles. I haven't heard a timetable. I mean, obviously Achilles. I mean, you think that that's a year-long injury with rehab, and it's time to tell. I mean, whether he can turn around. I mean, the Browns got a lot invested in him, but I just can't see them doing this all again next year, getting them up to speed, and missing a half a year to get. I just can't. I mean, they'll be lucky to win one more game this year and then have to turn around and do it again next year. I just think you need to go with who you got or try to get someone else. Tannehill's still available. Maybe he could be this year's Flacco. We should still have Flacco, but they decided to let him go. It'd be great to have him now. That's for sure.
Let's break down what will happen with DeShaun. Obviously, I think he'll be out for the season. That's probably most likely. He'll have 2 years off. I mean, 2 years left from his contract. 2 years off. What am I saying? 2 years left in his contract. They could pull Russell Wilson here, where like how the Broncos paid off his salary. Can the Browns do that? Hey, you could get traded or get cut, and we'll pay off your salary. But you know, was that likely scenario?
I think they can. I don't think they will. Unfortunately, I just think it's an ownership thing. I think Haslam, probably knows he made a mistake. Was telling Stefanski he had to play Watson. I mean, the idea that Stefanski says this is the best option we have as quarterback. I mean, everyone in the right mind can see that that's not the case. There was guys wide open when Watson was in the game down the field and he wasn't throwing the ball. So I think it could be done. I just think that they don't want to admit that they made a mistake in drawing up this contract. So you die on the sword. You just and it's unfortunate for all the guys. Miles Garrett. I mean, how long is he going to want to stay and not win? Chubb, it's back. You got guys that you got a good team. It's just you need a quarterback. But I think you got to turn the page. And I don't know. I mean, seeing that injury, and I think I don't think he should ever play again. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
to have to go through that again. He's got more than enough money, 230 million guaranteed. I mean, you feel bad for him, but I mean, you can't feel that bad. I mean, you're making all that money, and you might not play ever. So.
Yeah, and as Dan said, the Achilles is one of the most serious injuries. Some players don't come back the same. Top players that I've seen, uh, Kevin Durant, he came back okay, I thought. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers, which we could talk about him a little bit
Yeah.
later. Looks a little older. I'm not sure if it's something to do with his Achilles, maybe not. But looking at your backup quarterbacks, you got Jameis Winston and Durant Thompson Robinson DTR. Can any of these two quarterbacks perhaps can turn the Brown seasons around a little bit? I know they have weapons in Cleveland. They do.
Yeah,
But do you think any of these two
no, I
quarterbacks can
think,
turn
I
things
mean,
around?
honestly, I mean, I would play them both. I mean, DTR came in and gave him a big spark with the run game. I mean, he had some great runs. He brings that read option to the table, similar to running quarterbacks. So I think that if they play both, I mean, Winston, when he came in, he definitely saw the field better, got the ball down the field. I think I would use them both. Have a package for DTR. He can throw too, maybe some shorter. He made some passes down the field, made some rookie bad mistakes though, and you just got to protect the ball. So I think that they definitely were more dynamic when those two were in the game. So they at least give him a shot to win. And with Chubb coming back, I mean, you could tell he it took him a while, Chubb, to get in the groove. It was just like he was a step late with his reads, and he just seemed like he didn't have the same burst. But I imagine, he's been out over a year, so I imagine the game will come back to him. So hopefully they can string some wins together. But I don't know. Maybe we don't want them to, and maybe they can actually get a quarterback in the draft and make a good decision for once.
Quarterback, quarterback by committee. You did mention me a name right before the show started. Ryan Tannenhill. Is that something you
Yeah.
would like to have
Yeah,
a
no, I
option?
mean maybe it could be the next Flacco in Cleveland. I mean, it'd be nice. I mean, it would be nice to actually have Flacco, but for whatever reason they didn't want to bring him back after what he did last year. But I mean, I think all options could be on the table. I mean, especially DTR. I mean, he got hurt, so I mean, right now you don't have a backup quarterback. If DTR's hurt, I mean, who's going to be the backup to Winston? So I mean, I think they need to get another quarterback in the room.
Ryan Tannehill did say in the offseason he would like if he ever came back, he would like to be a starter. So he would
Yeah,
not want to be in the
right.
backup role. That's something that I think that's why we didn't see him
Hmm.
in Miami because now Tua, which segues perfectly to our next segment. Tua is practicing this week, Dan. A lot of the Dolphin fans are optimistic about it. I mean, I don't know. It's something that, you know, things are not doing well with Snoop, and the
No,
other guy is not doing well. So, what are your thoughts over him coming back?
no. I mean, he has to come back to save your season pretty much. I mean, obviously there's a big drop off there from what they had in offensive productivity. So I mean, I'm sure all fans are eager for him to come back. Hopefully he comes back and healthy. And if he does come back, I would wear the special helmet for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be playing around with another concussion.
Yeah, the G helmet, of
Yeah.
course, that has been having high reviews. But to give you some optimism for the Browns, the AFC the North is still kind of open. Not open, no, because the Ravens are doing well, but it like after the Ravens, it's still kind of open.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little less competition than the NFC. But they got a chance. I mean, they're going to play the Bengals again. They got the Steelers. So I mean, they got a chance to make some ends if they can clean up. I mean, they got to clean up the self-inflicted wounds. I mean, the offensive penalties. I mean, they start every drive behind the chains, and when you don't have any offense to begin with, it's hard to be first and 15 every single possession. And then, I heard they're having open competition for a field goal kicker. If you want, you could try out tomorrow because I saw on Indeed they were looking for kickers. But I mean, Dustin Hopkins, I mean, he was great last year, and it's just like he missed the extra point, missed the field goal. It's like, what can more go wrong in Cleveland? I mean, it's the life of a Cleveland sports fan. I mean, it's a depressing place to be.
What do you think about the Guardians losing against the Yankees?
Oh man, they made it a game. I mean, it's hard to compete when your salary cap's 120 million and theirs is 300. I mean, it's just the Guardians just never want to spend that kind of money. But they made it a game. I mean, they were in every single game. Had the great comeback with Big Christmas. Christmas came early, and David Fry hitting that homer, and they're just some couple miscues, a couple missed pitches. They shouldn't have pitched to Soto. They shouldn't have pitched. to Stanton, an error that it could have been a different scenario in that last game where they lost it to Soto with the home. But those are the big dog. I mean, they can hit it out and that crack of the bat. I mean, it's hard to compete, but. First year manager. I mean, they did overachieved. I think this year. I think the pieces are there. I think they got to add some bats, spend a little money on some starting pitching, some you know pitching. They got a good bullpen, but they got to get better in that area. But I think they'll be back there next year for sure.
That's awesome. I know Cleveland, a classic city for baseball. See what happens. Let's get back to the NFL. Brandon Ayuk also got injured, right ACL tear. Also got a big contract in the
Yeah,
offseason. Is that gonna be bad for the
yeah.
Niners, or they'll be okay?
They got a lot of problems right now. I mean, they have no offense at all. I mean, that running game is stagnant. They couldn't do anything. And with his injury, I mean, he really wasn't doing much anyway. And Purdy, he's struggling. Couple interceptions, just some boneheaded pass in the red zone when they were in field goal range. You can't do that in that position. You had the field goal to make it a one possession game, and you threw a pick, and that was pretty much the end of it. So they got big problems. Big problems. And
Big
and and
problems.
Mahomes
Yeah.
didn't have his best day, and they still won. So
That team is run by their defense.
yeah, hard to say that the Kansas City Chief team, Andy Reid team, their defense is winning games. That's
And they're 6-0. So we'll see what happens
yeah.
with Spags in that situation. I'm trying to see in their schedule which team can beat them. Obviously Minnesota now is they lost against their first game against Detroit. I think they led twice, but Detroit was pretty much all Detroit.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Goff played lights out. I mean, he had a huge game. But yeah, I mean, they might be able to give him a game, but um, I think, the Chiefs. I mean, Mahomes. I mean, like I said, he had a bad game, and they don't have any receivers, and still won. I venture to say they might pick up somebody before the deadline. They'll find their offense eventually.
Before we get into our recap, were you surprised with Russell Wilson's performance last night?
He looked really, really. I mean, there was chance for Fields at Pittsburgh Stadium in the first
Towards the
half.
beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
saw that.
exactly.
Couple air
So I mean,
balls.
he battled through and ended up doing pretty well. I mean, I think for a first game be coming back. I mean, he did good. So um, you know, you got to be happy about that. But I don't think all Steelers fans are happy. I mean, I was seeing, he looked awful, and I mean, but that's Steelers fans. I mean, they're kind
The
of like Browns
Steelers
fans.
fans
They
for
don't
you.
they don't have much patience.
They don't have much patience, but I was hearing a interview from Mike Tomlin, coach of Steelers. He said he was pretty much the only man in the locker room that was for that decision. So
Oh, really? I didn't hear that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the whole coaching staff, no, keep it with Fields. It panned
Hmm.
out. Big one.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dan, are you ready to recap
Yeah.
week 7 of
Yeah.
this crazy NFL season? Let's go first to London. The Jaguars trailed 10-0 before rallying and overpowering the New England Patriots 32-16 at Wembley Stadium. Tank Bigsby did it again. Rushed for 118 yards, Dan, and 2 touchdowns. And Parker Washington returned a punt for 96 yards for a score. Rookie receiver Brian Thomas Jr. caught a touchdown pass for the Jaguars. Tank Bigsby, 2 touchdowns again.
Yeah, this was definitely Trevor Lawrence's best game of the year. He needed to step up. I mean, Doug Peterson's giving him some kisses because he saved his job at least for another week. But yeah, I finally got some offensive production, so that's good news for Jacksonville.
Patriots rookie quarterback Drake May led one fourth quarter scoring drive, but couldn't muster his second one as New England lost its 6th straight game, first time since 1993. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, they're struggling. It's I think the coach said that we're the soft football team right now, so they got to figure it out.
I can't believe you said that.
Yeah, I know.
5 days after arriving in Buffalo, following a trade with Cleveland, Amari Cooper, which you know him, his first catch in his Bills debut, into a go-ahead touchdown of a 34-10 over Tennessee. I can't believe it. Amari did that.
Yeah, no, you finally got a quarterback that can throw him the ball, and I think no one's happier than Allen to have a top receiver like that, and it's going to only get better with time. Finished with 66 yards and a big touchdown towards the end.
Brendan McManus kicked a 45-yard field goal as time expired in his debut, performing with Green Bay, lifting the Packers past the Houston Texans 24-22. It was a close game, but McManus did the Lambeau hug or something when he goes into the crowd.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of neat to see. Yeah, the Lambeau hug. Yeah,
something like that. Anyways, Green Bay has overcome three turnovers to win its third straight and snapped Houston Texans' 3-game winning streak. I think these two teams have a lot of future.
No, absolutely. It's one of those. Definitely, I think they're tough. I mean, Love looked pretty good despite the 2 turnovers. And Stroud had his worst game, I think, of the year. With just 87 yards.
Not that good. Saquon Barkley made a memorable return to MetLife Stadium, rushing for only 176 yards and a touchdown and turning early jeers to cheers as he led the Eagles to a 28-3 victory over the offensively inept New York Giants.
Yeah, he definitely sent his regards to New York and went off on his homecoming. I'm sure he had some extra motivation with that. They didn't want to pay him a couple of extra $1 million to come there. I think there's some regrets there for sure with that big 176-yard day.
Jalen Hurts scored on the two tush-push quarterback sneaks and threw a 41-yard touchdown pass to A.J. Brown as the Eagles are now 4-2, beat the Giants 2-5 for the 6th time in 7 games in 14th and 17. Philadelphia's defense was just as good, recording 8 sacks, Dan, and limiting New York to 119 yards. Jones had to be replaced in the 4th quarter by Drew Lock.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like a revolving door at quarterback there. Not as bad as the Browns, but we'll see how long Jones will be out. But yeah, how about the tush push? I mean, everyone thought that was Kelsey, that they wouldn't be able to do that as much because he was the front, but they still got that down pat.
I think the Steelers did a tush push last night.
I missed that. Yeah, everyone tries to emulate it, but I don't think they do it quite as good as they do in Philly.
It's funny how the tush push, like how the Eagles do it. They they go in, and then the quarterback goes like the extra 3 inches. It's an interesting dynamic, and I saw that in college this past weekend. I think the Texas game versus Georgia, I think they did it too. So, which is a college thing, as Dan mentioned before.
Yep.
Well, let's see what happens with this tush push. We'll see if a defense can try to stop it. Jake Bates kicked a 44-yard field goal with 15 seconds left, and the Lions beat Minnesota on Sunday, 31-29, handing Minnesota's first loss in a back-and-forth game, befitting of NFL's strongest division.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's 2 or 4 teams that could be in the playoffs from that division right now. It's pretty wild. But best game of the weekend, I think, although I do think tonight's game is going to be really good as well. But Goff had a perfect game, 279 yards. Their offense is clicking right now.
Jamar Gibbs rushed for 116 yards and 2 of Detroit's 3 second-quarter touchdowns. As Dan said, Goff had 280 yards with 2 touchdowns and no turnovers in his 3rd straight game with 140-plus passer rating, joining Aaron Rodgers, Kurt Warner, and Roger Staubach as the only quarterbacks in NFL history to accomplish the feat. Not that bad.
Yeah, and they came back in this game. I mean, Minnesota was up early, and they battled back.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this Minnesota team. I'm quite curious. Are they the real deal or not? We got to see down the road a little bit. But Geno Smith is the real deal, Dan. He passed for 2 touchdowns and Derek Hall returned a fumble 36 yards for a clinching score as the Seattle Seahawks snapped a 3-game losing streak. Yep, with a 34-14 victory over Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta.
Yeah, no, they needed that win. Gino played a great game, and their defense stepped up. I mean, shutting out Cousins, making it tough for him. So that was a big win to get back in the win column for Seattle.
Seattle, let's see what happens. They're ahead in the NFC West, so we'll see what happens with San Francisco. Browns quarterback DeShaun Watson suffered a possible season-ending Achilles tendon injury in the first half of Cleveland's 21-14 loss to Cincinnati on Sunday as Joe Burrow got his first road win against the Bengals in-state AFC North rival. First ever, Dan. How could you?
Nah. Yeah, it was, another tough weekend for Browns. Yeah, as a Browns fan, you always think, oh, maybe next week we'll get a win, but you always get let down. It seems, the kicking game. I mean, the special teams. I mean, from the very first possession, you go let someone go 100 yards with the new kickoff rules and score a touchdown, so you're down 7-0. The defense played lights out in the first half. I mean, really holding them. It was 7-6 at half. DeShaun went down. So hate to see that. DTR came in. It was just amazing seeing the energy and just the excitement per se. And they just kind of pushed the ball. He had a deep pass, got a PI, and they scored. Chubb scored. Then he got hurt. Winston came in, passed the ball down the field. Offense looked a little different with other quarterbacks. Just couldn't get they were always playing behind the chains, stupid penalties, missed field goals, mixed extra point. They just have to clean up, and I say it every week. It's just a lack of discipline, and I think that starts with the head coach when you keep doing the same things over and over again. That's insanity.
Let's call it insanity.
Yeah, it's there needs to be, and I'm just sick and tired of Stefanski's press conference. Oh, we got to play better. I got to coach better. Blah blah blah. Every single week. At some point, you actually have to do it, and you're just not doing it right now.
We'll see what happens. Tyler Goodson ran for 1 touchdown, and Anthony Richardson led the Indianapolis Colts on a 2 fourth-quarter scoring drives to clinch a 16-10 victory over the Miami Dolphins. This was also another poor game. I'm surprised Colts had a win ugly like this too.
Yeah, it was ugly, boring game. Richardson didn't play that well. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before you start hearing the Flacco chants. I mean, seriously, the offense was, putting a lot more yards up with him behind center than him. I think it would be beneficial maybe to sit out, and learn from a Flacco. I think moving forward.
Yeah, definitely Flacco should be in mind. Jaden Daniels also had a health scare. He came out of the game with a rib injury, minor rib injury, but Marcus Mariota came in and took over.
He did.
The Panthers 40-7.
Yeah, that was a Mariota resurgence. Went 18 for 23, 205 yards. Happy for him. Getting a second look and coming in like that. Rib injuries are tough. I don't know the extent of it. I broke a couple ribs last year, and it was pretty sore for a while. Hopefully, it's not too bad, and he can get back. But for Washington to have Mariota come in and play like that, if he does that, they should be okay. And Bryce Young.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rib stuff. Yeah.
Bryce Young could come back.
Yeah. Well, they put him in at the end of the game, because Dalton didn't play real well. So, are they going to reevaluate and say, hey, let's just see, what happens here? The season's cooked. Maybe just throw him back out there and see if there's anything there, and maybe he can give him a shot, and who knows?
Or do a quarterback by committee.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. Or some packages here and there. Well, you got to lose. Season's pretty much lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Cam Carl returned a fumble 33 yards for a touchdown, and Kyron Williams rushed for 76 yards, and two scores in the Los Angeles Rams 20-15 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. This Raiders team had uh, Minshew starting after Aiden O'Connell had a hand injury. But this game was ugly, but the Rams did it in SoFi.
Yeah, it was ugly. I mean, the Raiders can't pass the ball right now. I mean, either quarterback wasn't able to get the ball down the field. So that's a problem. Stafford didn't play that great, and they still were able to pull out the win.
Aiden O'Connell, we'll see what happens with that thumb. I think he had a finger or thumb injury. Jalen McCullough had two more interceptions for the Los Angeles, including the game clinching pick with 1:18 to play. So we'll see what happens with this Rams team. Also needs to vie for that spot because, as Dan said, the NFC North is pretty much packed going into the playoffs. Let's go to the next game. Patrick Mahomes overcame two interceptions, Dan, to deliver a few big plays with his feet, and the Kansas City Chiefs remain the league's only undefeated team, beating the San Francisco 49ers 28-18.
Yeah, no, I mean, you might not have receivers, and you might be not playing your great football, but Mahomes, as long as you have him, I mean, he's going to make the right plays at the right time when it matters most. He didn't have the best game, two interceptions, but when he needed yards, he scrambled, made some passes, ran for it. I mean, he puts that Superman cape on and he gets it done. I mean, he literally just got a touchdown and ran over the linebacker there and then just knocked him down for a touchdown. So I think, they'll get better with their offense. The defense is winning their games, which is unheard of for an Andy Reid team, but Spags got them playing well. 49ers, I mean, they got a lot of problems offensively. Brock Purdy didn't have the best game. Bad interception when he could have got it to a one-score game with a guaranteed field goal. You just can't have that. So Ayuk down. They got to find offense from somewhere. Someone's got to step up.
Did I hear CMC somewhere there?
Yeah.
Which a lot of 49er fans think that he won't come back.
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
We'll find out. Next game, Sunday Night Football. Russell Wilson threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another score. He completed 16 of 29 passes for 264 yards, shaking off some early rust and ignoring the boos and brief chance for Fields when the offense sputtered in the first half. An 11-yard lob to George Pickens for a touchdown late in the first half allowed Wilson to exhale.
Yeah, no, he did, have a good bounce back in the second half. A little rusty, but he didn't let that affect the remainder of the game. Got the ball down the field. I think the bigger story is, what's going on in New York. I mean, you got rid of the coach, you got rid of the offensive coordinator, you got a new receiver. Like at some point, you got to start winning games. And, ultimately, I mean, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the same quarterback that he was. So ultimately that reflects on him. I mean, you have to start playing better. And their schedule moving forward, it gets easier. So, I mean, they have a path, but they have to start executing.
Aaron Rodgers said there was no energy. The energy was flat.
I mean, I don't know how you don't have energy when you just signed one of the best receivers in the game. You're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. President Trump's in the building. I mean, how do you not have energy? Come on.
And Devontae Adams with all that Taco Bell he eats,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm not sure what's going on with the Jets. They did got the weapons, so we'll see if they turn things around. But we have 2 more games tonight, and Dan said they're pretty exciting games. Monday Night Football doubleheader, so Dan has his plate full for tonight. First game is Ravens at the Buccaneers. Ravens are hot right now. I think they're in a 4-game winning streak. Tampa's good. They beat the Saints, but anyone can beat the Saints. Who do you have tonight in Tampa? Homecoming after the hurricane. What is your prediction and scoreline?
Yeah, I think this Ravens team is just a different animal with the two-headed monster. Adding Derrick Henry back there, I mean, it just gives them a new dynamic. And I think they'll win. I think it'll be a close game. I think Baker will have a big game, but I just think having that Derrick Henry there just changes their offense, and the offense runs through him, which is kind of hard to think of.
Do you
Yeah.
think this Baltimore team is different from week one when they played the Chiefs?
I do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They're a different team, and honestly, I think they'll meet in the AFC Championship game, and that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, this time Henry will be prepared. Score for Baltimore, Tampa.
I think it'll be. I think a little high scoring game. I think 28-21 Ravens.
That should be a good score line. Yeah, somewhere in the 20s. I can't say 30s.
Yeah.
Next game, West Coast time, LA Chargers at Arizona. Chargers had a big win last week, and the Cardinals need to ramp up in the winning column. Who do you have tonight?
I think the Chargers. I think their defense will be able to get the win for them. I think it'll be a close game. I think something like 21-14 Chargers.
Not bad. Yeah, the Chargers, they beat the Broncos last week, and the Broncos are doing good too.
Yeah, Bo
So
Nix. I mean, he's looking good. I mean, they got that pick right. Sean Payton's got him playing well.
yeah, good
You know,
chemistry there. I
everybody gets
mean,
their quarterback picks right, but the Browns and Carolina apparently.
well, sometimes you do, but then they don't pan out and they do well in the next team they go to, like
Yeah,
Baker
right.
Mayfield.
Baker. Yeah, exactly. And it's something, it could just be the culture. I mean, I think it starts with the ownership. So maybe the ownership, Carolyn, maybe Bryce would play better somewhere else because that owner doesn't have a good reputation down there for sure.
Do you think if Johnny Manziel, you know, went to a different team, he could have done well, or you think he
Well,
would
if he stopped doing crack and
have?
marijuana and
Yeah,
partying, probably. I mean,
yeah,
it's all coming out what he was doing, on his podcast and stuff. So, I mean, I think his lifestyle, I mean, I think it could have been a little different situation.
definitely for sure. World Series begins this weekend, Dan. Yankees at the Dodgers. Who will take it all? Who will take the pennant?
Well, it's gonna be a high scoring affair for sure. With the power that both of these teams have, I think it'll go seven. But I think the Dodgers are going to take it. I hope the Dodgers, anybody but the Yankees after I didn't really, I kind of cocky to me. I kind of, they get rubbed me the wrong way. So,
Cleveland goes way back as the Yankees, right? Like they started at the
yeah,
same time, kind of.
yeah, oh yeah. And they always got our numbers. So I guess
That's
it's,
why you go for the Dodgers.
yeah,
And the
right, right.
Dodgers, I forgot. I was reliving history this morning, and they started in Brooklyn
hmm
Dodgers. Then they moved to
Yep.
LA, and they faced 12 times in the World Series historically,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
highest of
no, I
any
mean,
other matchup.
yeah. I tell you, I mean, this is the MLB and the networks got what they wanted for sure. I mean, although New York would have been a good
That
story
would have
as
been a
well,
win-win.
but yeah, so but yeah, the two premier teams, the Dodgers, and high network as far as
Oh yeah,
where
last
they're
year Dan
at.
was
Yeah,
horrible. It was
yeah,
Rangers in
yeah,
Arizona.
exactly.
I was the
So.
only guy at the bar watching it.
Yeah. So for sure,
That's how
this is gonna
pitiful it
this,
was.
this might be the highest World Series watched ever. I would I
Yeah,
would I would imagine.
ever. So we'll see what happens. World Series begins this weekend. They got a week off. You know how baseball is. I mean, yes, they
Hmm
have injuries, but it's not like threatening. Like each game is threatening. It's not like a huge battlefield like the NFL is every
hmm
game. So they got a 1 week to rest. It's all in October. That's the best thing about the postseason. It's all in October. It doesn't go for a month and a half. It's all there. Dan, what's the best way to reach you online to give you some hope of, hey,
Yeah.
maybe those backup quarterbacks,
Yeah.
whoever it
Yeah.
is, might make it, deep, maybe.
Yeah. 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 X Danimal247. You can find me on Facebook. Dan Madden. Someone reached out to me. He's like, Dan, Why don't you post something positive on Facebook? I'm like, well, the life of a Browns fan. I'm in therapy, Cleveland sports. I'm like, there's not much positivity in my life right
Any hope? The NBA
now.
season begins this week. Any hope for Cleveland, the Cavaliers? Or
No, yeah, no. I'm my focus has moved on to them now. They start Wednesday, so Browns are toast, and the Guardians are toast. So they got everyone back. They were 0-4 in the preseason, but you can't, they didn't play
yeah,
much of their starters in the second half. But Mobley got bigger, Allen got bigger. So I think they new coach Atkinson's going to focus more on the three ball. So I think it's going to be a fun year. Hopefully they can take the next step.
there you go. Cleveland Cavaliers won an NBA championship in 2015, so they got something going. They were the last Cleveland team to win a championship in that city. You guys don't have a hockey team or a Major League
Mhm.
Soccer team, so we'll leave it with the
Yep.
big three
Yep.
right there.
Yep. Yep.
You can reach us at thesportscast.net on our website or the Sportscast One on X on Instagram. We'll be live tweeting throughout the week. Tonight, two Monday Night Football games. I don't know if they're gonna do that for the rest of the year or just like this month.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah, I haven't seen. I
I gotta
haven't
check out the
looked.
schedule.
Yeah.
I know they do for a period, but I don't think it'll be in December. They won't. They
No,
like
probably
won't have
not.
two Monday night. And the Christmas game, I got the reminder yesterday, is gonna be on Netflix.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
it's Ravens, not the Ravens, Steelers and the Chiefs.
So now you got
Christmas
to
game.
pay for another package. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, so it's only on, yeah, I think it's $7 with
Yeah.
ads, but if it's like
Yeah.
12, you get no ads. Well, either way,
Mm.
gotta have commercial
Yeah.
breaks in football games
Yeah.
to keep it rolling. Anyways, Dan, nice, lovely
Yep.
Monday.
Yep.
How's the weather up there? It's kind of
Not
warm
bad.
everywhere still.
Yeah. No, it was 70 today. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
which is
weird.
which is weird in October,
In
right?
Ohio. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, New
Yeah.
York's
It's
80 degrees. Miami's always 80 degrees on in October. So but the humidity's down a bit,
yeah.
a little bit. So it helps. All right, Dan,
All
thanks for coming on.
right.